So we're going to be focusing on the top 5 tips to help you improve, and what improving involves is getting more kills and dying less. So typically with the newest Call of Duty, there's a lot of different things that they change. Some things are more subtle than others, and for a lot of new players, it's hard to pick up on the things that are going to actually help you to improve. And sometimes it's even harder for the returning players because they got to go ahead and change their habits. So that's what I'm going to focus on in the video. If you find the video helpful, please do me a favor, hit that like button. And if you're brand new to the channel and like to find your way back, make sure you do subscribe with notifications on. So I think the first big issue is really understanding how the combination of the mini-map and the compass work together. And sadly, even though they've given us 2 tools, they don't work quite as well as they've worked in previous Call of Duties. So we're gonna have to just adjust for this. They've added an element of RNG that's gonna make it a little bit harder for you to stay alive. So when you look at the mini map, all you're really gonna see is these little blue triangles, and what those are is those are your teammates, obviously, and nothing else will pop up on that mini map unless you have a UAV or an advanced UAV in the air. And the compass will actually show enemies pop up anytime they fire their weapon, which is something we've had on the mini-map before, but sometimes it's a little bit tricky to find out where someone's shooting from if they're at an angle that is not in that compass. And I think overall, if we had this in Black Ops 4, it wouldn't have been as big of an issue. But the big difference between Modern Warfare and Black Ops 4 is the time to kill. It takes you way longer to die in Black Ops 4, so you can have a little bit more time to figure out where you're getting shot from. In Modern Warfare, if someone's shooting from a random window and you're trying to figure out, okay, on the compass it looks like they're from this direction, and I don't see what's going on the mini-map. I see my teammate just got shot and died there. Okay, they should be in there. Okay, you're dead. So with the combination of the mini-map, the compass, and the time to kill, you're gonna just have deaths that are inevitable unless you just stand in one place and never move. And obviously some people are going that route, and I've played plenty of matches where you get these teammates and they're going positive, but then they end up with like 7 kills for an entire match of domination, which in my opinion isn't all that fun. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna make sure that you're reading that mini-map on a regular basis and utilizing the compass. It does take a little bit of time to get used to, but what you're really trying to pay attention for is where you can navigate safely around the map. So if you see that there's a bunch of teammates in one area, then you can kind of go ahead and navigate that way and kind of branch off from that point. So that's about as much as I wanted to say about the mini-map for now. Let's go ahead and talk about using the meta. And the meta is basically the most common weapons used, and for this game with the map sizes, it's going to be rifles. There's not a lot of enclosed spaces, the maps are fairly large, so rifles are generally going to have the advantage. Currently, one of the best guns in the game is the M4, and you're going to see a lot of people use that one because it's pretty much the best weapon in the game in terms of damage, recoil, all that type of stuff. And when you actually start off with the games, these weapons take a very long time to level up. I've spent about 10 hours on one weapon, it still hasn't reached that max level. So I highly recommend just go ahead and jumping for that M4, leveling that up right away, and trying to get that maxed out so you can get all the attachments you want to make that the best weapon possible. And one other thing to note with this is the best attachment in the game is probably the stippled grip, because it will reduce your aim down sight time, which is a huge advantage. And once you get really comfortable with one specific weapon, then you can start branching out and practicing with some of the other weapons in the rifle category, then maybe jump into the SMGs, and then go ahead and maybe mess around with snipers or whatever the case is. So regardless, if you end up going with the M4 or you decide to go with another weapon, what I highly recommend doing is going into a custom game and finding out that weapon's recoil pattern. A lot of times people are new to Call of Duty, or maybe they've just been new to shooter games, and they don't understand that the recoil pattern is consistent, meaning that pretty much every time you fire the weapon, the bullets will come out in the exact same pattern. So bullet 1 will hit the same spot, bullet 10 will hit the same spot, bullet 30 will hit the same spot, and that pattern doesn't change. So the benefit in learning the weapon and how it performs is that when you actually decide to use the weapon, you're going to be able to account for that recoil. So if it goes up and to the right, you're going to pull down and to the left when you actually fire the weapon. If you notice that there's some kind of wonky recoil at a certain point, you're going to go ahead and release the trigger and then go ahead and pull it again, and it restarts that predictive recoil. A lot of times people don't do that. They just hold the trigger until everyone on their screen is dead or somebody else killed them in the process. So that'll go ahead and bring us to the next tip, and that is knowing when to change gears. And I think this is the part that most players are struggling with. They think that you only have to camp to be successful. They feel like you can't run around the map and all that type of stuff. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I've watched a lot of streams. I've been playing the game myself. There are times you can rush and there are times when you have to camp. You have to know and understand when you need to change gears, and it's not always going to be going 100 miles an hour, and it's not always going to be stuck at 0. You have to know how to balance this out based off what's going on in the minimap with your teammates, what the compass is telling you in regards to enemy gunfire, if the objective is giving you any clues, whether it's contested or being captured by an enemy, that'll give you enemy location as well, how close you are to a streak, and if anyone has a UAV in the air. You're going to want to go ahead and factor in all these variables and make decisions based off of that. Whether you're able to make those decisions fast or slow, that's just going to come with time. So the goal should be getting more map awareness, and the easiest way to do that is to call on a personal radar or a UAV, whether you have hardline or whatever the case is. That's going to take you 2, 3, or even 4 kills. And then once you have that intel, you can start making a little bit more educated decisions, because initially, like I said in the beginning, there's going to be that element of RNG. There's still going to be RNG because people can still run Ghost or whatever the case is. But for the most part, if people aren't running Ghost and you have a UAV in the air, that's going to go ahead and give you a lot of information which you can use to change gears. And typically what you're going to do is ramp it up so you can go ahead and get as many kills as you can while that UAV is in the air for 30 seconds. And hopefully your teammates are doing the same, so they can go ahead and call in a UAV and you'll go ahead and be able to chain a couple more kills together. The UAVs are where it's at, because as long as there's a UAV in the air, that gunfire will pop up on the minimap. That's going to give away people's positions who thought they were unable to be seen because they're running Ghost. So the next tip is going to go ahead and tie in a little bit with that pace, but one thing to keep in mind with this game is that the streaks do not cycle, meaning that once you get that UAV, you'll never get a UAV again within that life. So ideally what you're going to want to do is get all the streaks you have allocated. So if you have 10 kill streak, make sure you get the 10 kill streak. If you have an 8 kill streak, make sure you get those, and then you can go ahead and play a little bit more reckless to try and chase after those kills. Not stupid, maybe a little bit reckless, where you ego challenge one guy, or you jump around trying to flank and get 2 guys off guard. Whatever the case is, you're going to go ahead and chase a couple extra kills, because at the end of the day, if you end up dying, it might end up being a good thing, and I'll go ahead and explain why. So let's say my streaks are the UAV, the VTOL jet, and the chopper gunner, which only will take you 10 kills to get all of these streaks. So what will end up happening is when you get a new life, you can go ahead and call on your streaks or whatever the case is, or maybe you've already used them or whatever the case as soon as you got them in. That really part isn't really all that relevant. The key is that obviously if you ended up staying alive longer and maybe went on an 18 streak, you would have already had 8 kills to your next streak, which would have been your VTOL jet, and you would have only needed 2 more kills for that chopper gunner. And the reason that matters is because at the end of the day, the streaks will get you kills. The VTOL might get you 4 kills, it might get you 10 kills. The chopper gunner could get you 15 kills, it could get you 4 kills. Whatever the case is, that'll be more kills that you got than you would have gotten in that 18 kill streak, because you're not going to be able to cycle streaks. You're not going to be able to get another VTOL jet, and you're not going to be able to get another chopper gunner. So basically all those kills are wasted. And obviously if you want to go on a 30 streak because you want to call in that tactical nuke, more power to you. But as soon as you get right around the 15-17 kill mark, the game becomes very RNG. Is one of your teammates going to call in a UAV? And from my experience playing solo, I can almost bet money that my teammate will not call in a UAV when I actually need one. So that's one of the downsides with not being able to cycle streaks. I have to rely on teammates to actually do something to help me elongate my streak. And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier about changing gears. If you end up on this 18 streak and you don't have that map awareness, you're never going to ramp up the gear, because you're just going to want to keep your streak going, which is going to slow down your pace considerably and force you to camp in a way that you do not want to play the game. So I would just recommend going for that 10 streak. If you happen to die because you're playing a little bit fast, go for it. You're going to go ahead and get another set of streaks and be happy with that until they change something in the game. And keep in mind that obviously in the beginning I'm saying more kills, less deaths, but at the end of the day, if you're able to get that map awareness, you're going to be able to chain together more kills, and the kills will significantly outweigh the death. And that's going to bring us to the next tip, which I think is probably the most important, and that is your overall positioning and playing the game as if it is free-for-all, even when you're not in the free-for-all playlist. And I think most free-for-all players know exactly what I'm talking about, but in case you're not sure what I mean, it's basically to patrol a certain area. Typically that's what you do in free-for-all. You go ahead and kind of lock down an area. Doesn't mean you camp in a window and look out the window for the entire match. What it means is you kind of rotate around, peek to several different vantage points, and continue to rotate around that specific area, pretty much locking it down so no one can get close to it. and this will allow you to actually hold what is called a power position. And with this game, they specifically designed it so that it can be played with power positions, meaning that there's certain areas of the map that are stronger and more powerful to hold than other parts of the map. And once you find yourself in one of these locations, it's very difficult for people to come and get you out of that area. And that's one of the big differences between 3-lane maps. Typically with 3-lane maps, there are some power positions, but none of them are overpowered. But with the way Modern Warfare's maps are designed, they are specifically designed to be overpowered and make it so that everyone wants to fight for those specific target areas, and whoever has them is at a distinct advantage than other people that don't. So if you guys would be a little bit more interested in finding out the power positions on all of the specific maps within the game, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful in any way, please remember to hit that like button, do me that favor, and if you're brand new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe with notifications on so you'll be able to find your way back. I do appreciate all the support with all the Modern Warfare videos. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.